Topic. This is an area that I see an awful lot of folks get completely wrong on. How do they get completely wrong on this? Here's what happens. You have a transaction. You build it within the scope of a stored procedure. This is fine. Now, this transaction, which is once a month, move money from my checking account to my savings account, suddenly needs to be in something which is happening on an annual basis. Why? Because annually we are doing some interest rate moves. So at this point, we take this proc along with 10 other procs, bundle it into a larger transaction, and each of those transactions, and within that larger transaction, these stored procedures, each of which are also transactions, get called. Here's the problem. When the transaction breaks down, why would a transaction break down? I'm trying to move money from checking to savings, $100, and there's not $100 in the account, so I'm going to roll back the transaction. At that point, everything rolls back all the way to the outermost transaction. Because we're leaving a stored procedure, the value of that at tran count within the stored procedure breaks, and the outermost transaction just errors out, the stored proc finishes, and it gives you a problem. This is a correctable issue. We'll be talking about it in just a moment. Let's talk about transactions here for a second. The operational words within transactions are begin tran, commit tran, rollback tran. The begin tran says everything that happens from here on out are going to be bundled into a unit of work. What is a unit of work? Let's spend a minute and define a transaction. A transaction are all of those things which need to complete or not complete as a group. So, at its lowest level, all SQL statements are transactions, they're transactional. If I say update this table and increment all 100,000 rows by 10%, I have to know that if the server crashes suddenly, when it comes back up, they're either all changed or none changed, because there's no way of saying, finish the last 20,000 rows. We simply can't get there from here. So what are we going to do? Well, the transaction says we have multiple SQL statements. We're going to bundle those all in as a transaction. That may be the situation where we're doing the move of money from the checking to a savings account. We don't want the situation where we take the money out of the checking account, the server shuts down, and then the money is A, out of the checking account, and B, never makes it back into the savings account. So the begin tran says start a transaction. Everything after here is transactional. Note that there is no flow of control involved in a begin tran. It is simply a bookmark saying make note of all the changes from here forwards. Next, we have the commit tran. The commit tran says, yay, finished, everything worked, all done, make these changes permanent. The rollback says, don't make these changes permanent. Something weird happened, or something we didn't like happened. Every change since the begin tran, undo it. That's our big undo. So, what ends up happening in real life is we do a begin tran. There's a global variable called @tran count. What @tran count does is it keeps track of our transaction nesting level. Each begin tran increments tran count. Each commit decrements tran count. And a rollback sets it all the way back to 0. So the problem that we run into is if you have an outermost transaction and you have an inner transaction, and the inner transaction within a proc does a rollback, the value of @tran count is changed coming into and out of the procedure. The procedure detects that, and it throws off an error. You get a message along these lines. Transaction count after execute indicates that a commit or rollback tran statement is missing. Some folks just simply write these off and say, you know what? This happens sometimes. I'll deal with it if my users call. I'll wave my hands and will not sweat it. But here's the thing. This is correctable. I had a fun experience many years ago talking with somebody who said, Jeff, I've been with Microsoft Professional Services for 12 years. This is just something we deal with. And I said, no, this is something that we have a solution for. Can I fix it for you? And he said, fine, fix it. Show me. I fixed it and I showed him. And he said, Jeff, this is fantastic. Why doesn't everybody know about this? You should tell the world. And I said, I do. My advanced SQL class has slides on this. Maybe you should send your whole staff here because they'll benefit.